The NHL trade deadline is less than an hour and a half away. Wanted to come into the stream, get a few of these trades underway, talk about some stuff that's going on with the Boston Bruins, talk about a few things that are going to be going on for the rest of the day, the remainder of this hour and a half until we do see some more trades happen. We've already had quite a few today, none from the Boston Bruins just yet, but want to talk about some moves the Bruins have made already, some moves that could happen today, including a Brad Marchand trade that people have been talking about like crazy over the past 2 days in specific, as well as a few other moves around the NHL that will really give us a good idea of what's happening around the league with the Boston Bruins, with everybody else. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very busy hour and a half coming over for the remainder of this deadline with, the Bruins in specific here on this channel, but across the NHL as well. But as of right now, Bruins practice has just started moments ago, and everybody is accounted for. That's not saying that people won't get traded. That's not saying that we'll see no trades happen, but we'll get a good idea. If someone comes out of practice, we know that something is going to be happening. But let me just check in on the moves Coyle, Geeky, and Carlo were all on the ice for Bruins practice. So 3 of the top trade candidates are still on the ice. However, doesn't mean that no moves are going to be happening. And Marchand here is, of course, the big specific one, but with an hour left is when I really expect to see some more moves being made by the Boston Bruins. This timer up here in the top right of the screen is not, I don't think it's exactly the right time, but it's just about. It should be pretty accurate along that. But before we get into any other moves that happen, I want to talk about a few moves that have already been made by the Boston Bruins, including the one yesterday that I made a video on last night with Marat Kuznatinov, Jacob Lauko, and a 6th-round pick, which was Boston's own one for Justin Brazeau. I've been seeing a lot more of the reaction. Not a lot of people are a very big fan of this trade, but I'm here to convince you. I'm here to change your mind on the opinion. When we look at Justin Brazeau, he's a player that I really wanted to re-sign for quite some time, because I feel like it was a player that we could have used for the future. Although he's 27 years old, not even a full NHL season under his belt, wouldn't have been an expensive player, but he is slow, he's been sluggish, he has not been great this season, and it really made sense to be able to trade him for 2 young guys. And although those young guys may not be the best players, Marat Kuznatinov has a lot of potential as a Russian centerman, can also play the wing, who's come over, putting numbers up in the KHL, but also is only 22 years old and a borderline first-round pick and second-round pick, but I would consider him a first-rounder at some opportunities. Jacob Lauko, I believe he was solely brought back from the perspective of the team chemistry, something that the Bruins seemingly been lacking this year. And the 6th-round pick, was just another little bit on top. And looking at this trade, what Justin Brazeau's value would have been, you would have been lucky to get, I think, maybe it's the 6 by itself. So adding 2 players, 2 RFAs who you have control of, I don't mind it at all. I'm also going to be reading the chat here a bit. I'm going to be looking at my phone quite a bit as well. I have Twitter up on my other screen. My phone got notifications on. I got my other laptop here, so we won't be missing anything here today. Michael says, other than Pastas, McAvoy, Swayman, I think everyone's on the table. I thought they would be made more trades by now. Maybe they'll announce some at the end, and I do believe that as well. I feel like we've really seen the big names that were really guaranteed to be traded out of the way now in Trent Frederic, Justin Brazeau. Those are 2 players that I feel like a lot of teams are looking at, knowing that the value wasn't going to be too high on them. Brazeau, just because his value is not very high anyways, and Trent Frederic because of the injury and the uncertainty. So the Bruins did make some moves there. I feel like they worked out. They were fine. And when we're looking at the rest of the people, and the ones I should mention who were at practice, Carlo, Geeky, Zacha, Charlie Coyle, all of those guys have been accounted for at practice. We still could see those being made. And I will just quickly, I forgot to put this here. Let me do this so you can actually see it a bit clearer with the background, because I know the background is not the best color. And we'll also throw it in the graphic, shall we? Do that. Oops, sorry. Let me do this and this. There we go. Okay. Now, whatever screen I'm on, you can see the deadline time left. But everyone keeps talking about Coyle being traded. He has a no trade clause. He ain't going nowhere. Only people that actually have a chance to be traded are Geeky, Carlo, Marchand, and maybe Peak. Peak is an interesting one, John. Someone that I haven't really heard too much about, a lot of which due to him playing such a big role for the Bruins this year. But I do think that he is once again another possibility of teams looking for a depth right-handed defenseman. I think that's why we're looking at Carlo as such a big asset as well, as that when you did see Seth Jones off the market, a lot of teams calling in on Carlo right away. And I think that's where it kind of comes down to, a lot of these players being limited assets around the NHL. And the Bruins have quite a bit that they can trade. They may not get all the value they want, but being able to make this retool happen, I think it works out perfectly. I feel like they need to trade someone like Coyle, Carlo, or Marchand to get a first-round pick. That is definitely something as well. And, I in the thumbnail of this live stream, I do have Marchand and I believe it was Carlo. Those two, I think, are the top right now to be traded. I think that you could see maybe a Geeky, depending on what happens there. I think the Bruins are a big fan of potentially re-signing him. I'm just going to tilt my camera a bit down. There we go. I feel like the Bruins are a big fan of being able to have him re-signed. He's been something that the Bruins have found a lot of positivity of this year and last year. And we saw from the start of the season now, if he had continued that pace from the beginning, they would have been in a great spot. Probably not be in any playoff position, but they would have more wins, more goals, and, just a better overall offense to this point. So I feel like there's 3 or 4 players that really have the biggest chance of being traded when it does come down to this later mark. And the timer for my deadline just got changed up again. Give me one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Let me find out how much time is left. I believe it's an hour and 21 minutes. It'll be 81 minutes. Just 1 second. 1 second. Let me pull my timer down. Do apologize. I set this up before the stream. Wanted to try it, and we'll see how it works. Yeah, it should be good. Okay, yeah, there we go. That should be all right there now for that timeline. But yeah, and Marcus, you're right. This is definitely a seller's market, and you could get some picks. I think that's something the Bruins have certainly liked to be able to get the idea of. We saw Rantanen get 2 firsts and Stankoven. That really sets up a team's future. That really just shows that, a trade for someone, and obviously Mikko Rantanen is not going to have the same value as Brad Marchand, but Marchand still has quite a bit. You can easily get a first-round pick for Marchand, and I think it really does come down to if the Bruins are deciding to really just kind of break it down completely, and Marchand is someone that it would obviously suck to see traded. You don't want to see a guy like Marchand traded, but for the best of the team, he's 37 years old when this deal expires. How much regression is he going to have? I think there's so many questions that have to be asked that is it worth bringing him back if you're not going to be a competitive team over the next few years? And I feel like a lot of teams are calling on him knowing that they're kind of win now. I mean, did you see Marchand in the thumbnail in that Oilers jersey? He's been linked to the Oilers about 3 or 4 times since the beginning of, conversations for trades about this deadline. And it has not stopped yet. I mean, there seems like Vegas, some other teams that are win now, and Brad Marchand holds that completely at a very cheap price. And if the Bruins do retain any salary, that could be multiple picks and prospects that could really change over this, rebuild whatever is needed into a season that could be competitive again next season. Swayman is one that, I don't think he's going to be traded. Obviously, he's not had the season we wanted at all and by any circumstance. But when we see Swayman as an asset, you have to go over the next season, go over the season after, and really look at if this is just an anomaly. Obviously, the team has not been performing at all this year. We're rocking an AHL lineup this year. They played well last night, but it's an AHL lineup when it comes down to it, and he has realistically no help in front of him. So I think you got to give him a break here this year because this season is a wash. But if something happens next season, I mean, it may be something to consider. And at practice today, Marat Huzadinov is there. He got sent down to the AHL, but he is number 92 for the Bruins, and he is at practice. When we look at, as well, the kind of every bit of asset that the Bruins have, they have limited. And, they have limited assets to bring back into the NHL as well to be able to make a season, turn around quickly next year. They have Merkulov, they have Lysell. Both of those guys need to be in the NHL next year. And if not, I would not be surprised to see them go in a trade. Not this season, maybe next season, but if there's a deal that the Bruins have available this year that offers one of them, it's almost like you have to do it. Obviously, it's not the way a rebuild works, but if teams are going to be giving up something that will, be a great exchange for them that can work for your future, because obviously Lysell, Merkulov's just, I don't know why, but the Bruins have not really called them up. Merkulov back up, but Lysell is still just sitting down there, wasting away, and a guy who's been supposed to be the next, big thing for the Bruins has played one NHL game. It don't make any sense to me, but there could be a trade coming for one of those. I doubt it, but, if the deal is right, and if someone is looking for something and the Bruins are trying to do something big, it certainly could be one of them. Exactly, Michael. They're in a rebuild, but they're not in a situation where you need to go out and get rid of your middle-aged players in McAvoy, Pastrnak, Sweeney. I would argue Geekie as well. I think Geekie is a very good one. But, you don't need to get rid of those guys. You're not in that bad of a position. The window is open. It's closing, but it's closing slowly because the Bruins have done one thing well, developing players and keeping the age down. So you don't have too many old players on this team right now that will, have a major impact a couple years down the line. And obviously you have guys like Marchand, but nobody that has, really, is going to set the market or this team apart with retirement or whatnot. Thoughts on John Beecher? Beecher's good. I mean, I do have the lines here somewhere, right here. He's been a player that, has just been a very steady fourth-line player this year. I feel like there has not been much going on with him at all. But he is a guy that is going to be interesting in free agency. He is a free agent after this year. And when you do look at if he will be re-signed, I think the Bruins would be bringing him back here on a cheap deal once again. He definitely, would like to have some more playing time, I guess we could say. Obviously it's a job. It's not recreational hockey, so, you're playing your role. But right now, it does seem like John Beecher will still be a part of this team because of the little, I don't want to say lack, but the small amount of assets that this team has to be able to, play in the NHL next season. Exactly, Michael. Hampus him as well, Poitras, and, a lot of the younger guys too. And they're not in a horrible spot for the upcoming retool. I don't want to call it a rebuild, but the retool. Because they're not going full-blown, tear it down to the ground. Yeah, no, Morgan Geekie, Strange, is one of the players that he's been in conversations, but I think he's the one that it makes sense not to trade the most. He may have the most value right now, apart from Brad Marchand, but 26 years old, RFA. We've seen what he's doing now. Looking at him compared to the start of the season, if he had started this way, he would be one of the best players in the NHL, And that's not bias. Well, maybe a little bit, but it is a move that cannot be made. They have to keep him, I think. Andrew, that's a good question as well. I'm going to talk kind of more so about the college, signings as a whole. When we're looking at this, I think the Bruins can certainly go out and look at a lot of these college players, as they did last season. Look at a lot of these college players, unsigned, undrafted, and sign them, bring them in, and kind of work with them there. There's a lot of, good talent that you see there. Colin Graff was one last year that's on the Sharks that I wanted to see the Bruins sign. He certainly looks very good, has looked very good, and I think that, you kind of get a lot of, free talent in this college kind of signing aspect. So I think that could be an option, certainly, and I hope that they do make a few of these kind of little sneaky moves just to be able to add some depth at a younger age. Elias Lindholm has a no trade clause for all 7 years, I believe. So things are going to be tough, and I can't check for that for sure. I don't want to say that for sure with the full 7 years, but he does have a no trade clause in some aspects. Yeah, I don't know where I can. It's definitely on Puckpedia somewhere. I'm looking here now. I know he does have one, but I don't know the exact length. I believe 7 years. So he's a guy that a lot of people are calling for a trade as well. But he's not going to want to go anywhere. I don't think. It's an interesting one. I would certainly like to see him go because of how bad he's been. But I think we give him, once again, kind of the same thing as what I was saying with a few other guys. You got to give him one more chance over the year, just to see over next year and see how it works. Yeah, trading some players here on this team, you can definitely get some first round picks. You can get some picks, pretty easily with a lot of these players. But I think it depends on how the Bruins want to go about it. Dean Letourneau, the guy they drafted last year in the first round, I was big on him. I was very high on him, but he has not been performing at all in Boston College this year. I believe 1 point in his games, but it's his first year coming off the not USHL. I can't remember where he played. He was going to the USHL, but I think it's another year for him. But it will be interesting to see what the Bruins do with those picks, because I mean, the draft is certainly something that the Bruins are not the best at in the NHL. So, I think that's another thing that we're just gonna have to wait and see. But buy out Lindholm, that would be a expensive price. I can check actually how much it would cost to buy him out here on Puckpedia. Yeah, so he would be bought out until I think it's 2036, 2037. So that would be a tough way to kind of go about that and buy him out due to how much it would be just costing them over the next, 2 decade nearly. But, it certainly is the fact, it's bad the fact that we're talking about him, that to be bought out of how his season has been going. He has, yeah, no, you're right. He's been horrible out there this season, but I'm hoping it's just, once again, as I mentioned, kind of the aspect of this team not playing great this season and not really showing anything positive going out about here. So on the updates for the Bruins trades, we have nothing just yet. Once again, I'm still looking at Twitter here, or X over on my other screen, but we do know that with the hour and 10 minutes we have left, moves can be made after, well, not after, but they will process after. They, may trickle in a little bit after the deadline. You got the phone, you got to call in to make this trade happen. So the trades may not be official until about, I'd say 30 minutes, an hour after, but we have not seen anything just yet. Jacob Lauko and Marat Huznatinov are available tomorrow versus Tampa Bay. That's another update I guess we have here. Give Zadorov away for as many practice pucks as you can get. Zadorov has been a tough look this season, especially with, I don't have the defensive lines anywhere here, actually, so I guess we can pull this one up. When we're looking at Nikita Zadorov, the 5.55 really doesn't seem bad. He's a physical guy, but he has, once again, not been a guy that's been playing well consistently this year. Now, when he's been on. Like, he's a good player when he's playing well. But with Zadorov, he needs to be on the right pairing. And with the pairings we've seen him this year, not finding that exact one with, of course, Charlie McAvoy being injured, Hampus Lindholm being injured, Brandon Carlo's not playing good when he's with Hampus Lindholm, Andrew Peeke being his partner. You need someone better than Andrew Peeke to be playing with Nikita Zadorov. But right now, I think he's a guy that I would like to see stay, but I don't give him that long of a leash, just to be safe. His $5 million on a contract with the cap going up is something that you can eat. It's something that you can really, stay fine with. That's a pretty mediocre contract, but with a big guy like that can come into this game, you don't mind it. We've been pretty silent on trades here the past little while. Brock Besser is on the ice for the Vancouver Canucks, so I'm not saying that he will not be traded, but that's another option that I think wouldn't be horrible for the Boston Bruins. No, absolutely, Iceman. Zadorov has been better than Lindholm, not just on cap, but, everything that has been brought to him, any situation, it does seem like in more, high-pressure situations, Zadorov has been better regardless than Elias Lindholm. Now, kind of hard to compare. It's an offensive, or an offense and defense. So, you can't really put them one for one, but I feel like in more high-pressure situations, I much rather have Zadorov than Elias Lindholm. The Columbus Blue Jackets are acquiring Luke Kunin from the San Jose Sharks. That is one trade that we have here as of late since the beginning of this stream. We have not seen too many more as of late, but the Bruins have to be soon. We have to make some move. Now, whether or not it's a major one, whether it's a minor one, I really don't care, to be honest with you. I need to see some solid moves made that will help the future. Your sellers, you gotta sell. Edited, it seems like Sweeney has been so far just sitting around, but I don't know what else is planned. We have some speculation. We can kind of make an estimated guess, but nothing right now has screamed to me anybody getting traded just yet. When we kind of look at this trade here, it gives us an idea of what the Bruins are probably going to be asking for in a lot of these other trades. You give up Brazeau, you get two young guys, much younger, 22 and 24, I believe, and your 6th-round pick back. It really goes to show the Bruins are pushing for future assets. Huzadinov could have an impact now, and he will have a minor impact, but a big thing for him is when it comes down to the future, when it comes down to the Bruins looking to be able to have that center depth, that winger depth, 4 years down the line, let's just say, when he comes up to be 26 years old, he is still going to be younger than Brazeau, and that time he's going to be much more developed. He's going to be a better player than Brazeau, a big offensive talent, and I do have his stats here somewhere, right here. When you look at his KHL stats, he was elite, playing at 20 years old in the KHL, 41 points in 63 games. He's been a dog. And being able to put this in an NHL, and once that develops over to an NHL, he'll be very good. Very, very good. So I do like the idea of that, but what Sweeney has planned, I have zero idea. Mikko Rantanen to the Stars is now official, and that trade as well for, I can't remember who in the chat we were talking to about that earlier. That also got two more so it's 2 first, 2 thirds, and Stankoven for Mikko Rantanen. I think that's a crazy deal, but it's really worth it for a guy like Mikko Rantanen with an 8-year extension at $12 million, which is a lot cheaper than I think what a lot of people thought was gonna be. With Bruins practice should be over here now in a little bit, I believe. I think it started about an hour ago. Everybody's still accounted for. We haven't seen anybody leave the ice. We haven't seen any players, be spoken to just yet, but not saying that it can't happen. And here's what really I don't understand, Iceman, is if Don Sweeney's being conservative, why? There's no success that's going to come from this season. You're getting rid of players that are going to be on expiring contracts that likely won't re-sign. You're likely going to be fired. Why not go out and try and save your job? I feel like that's really the only thing that could even save his job, is making some steals of a trade. And, honestly, I think he's done two pretty good trades so far this deadline. And will it continue? I don't know. I don't really know if we're going to see another one. I hope we do, and realistically, we should. But I think he's done fine so far, and, it doesn't change my opinion just yet, but if he can make 2 or 3 more of these deals, I'm going to be, pleasantly surprised with how he's handled this deadline. But right now, and like you said, Edited, if he says we tried to get a deal done today, we just couldn't get a good one, that's going to be, that's going to be the final straw for me. And, I haven't been there yet. I've been pretty close, but the way that we've seen this kind of deadline go so far, it's up for a good debate. But knowing Sweeney, anything can happen. And on the NHL.com/news, they have an active trade deadline. So any kind of post that goes live on X or Twitter or whatever it may be pops into there, and I'll be keeping that up to date with X as well, and seeing if anything's happening. But we are 2 minutes until the 1 hour mark. We have a trade, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie Coyle is going to the Colorado Avalanche just moments ago from Fluto Shinzawa. I will screenshot the tweet here, put this up on the screen. We officially have a deal. No discussion yet as to what it could be, the return, but we do have a trade. It has started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we can get going with this. If this is the beginning, if Don Sweeney started it, Charlie Coyle, one that we didn't really know about because of, the uncertainty. This could be something good. Hopefully, this could be a big trade. We know the Colorado Avalanche are looking, but here's my take for this. Immediately, just initial thoughts. The Colorado Avalanche are buyers. They are going to be looking to spend to get some, to outbid teams for players they want. But going to Colorado is certainly something that could be big because the Avalanche want to just start buying. And waiving the clause, I can understand it here to the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, they have a pretty good chance of winning the cup, but a first-round pick, I think, would be a bit bold. But if it is, I seriously dig it. We should have a return here in a few moments, but as we do look at our first trade of the day for the Boston Bruins, Charlie Coyle is now out, leaving room for a few of these new acquisitions to be able to get into center. Charlie Coyle has been pretty good. He's been an okay player for the past couple seasons for the Bruins, but as we've mentioned, and I feel like I've been talking about this a little while here over the past few days and weeks, when we're looking at the Bruins making a move to be rebuilding, a move to be, pushing to a new aspect of the team, they needed to trade him or Carlo first. That was the move. They needed to get rid of one of these big contracts that were going to be here for a while. That is the beginning. Now, I just leave that screenshot, so it's gone, but I will pull it up once again here now in a minute when we do get that trade put up here. I'll screenshot it again, actually. Why not? So we do have a... Oh my goodness, if this is part of it... Let's see. Casey Middlestat. Casey, that is... Okay, Pierre LeBrun. All right, let's just swap over the screenshots. This is big, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very big, I think. Looking at Casey Middlestat, a player who has been around, no, I shouldn't say around, but he's been a player that a lot of people are talking about in, one of these bust potentials. This is a part of a deal that the Bruins are looking to add to the future. Once again, the same thing that I was talking about with the Huzi trade for from the Wild. This is something that I like to see immediately here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat below. What do you think about this? Obviously, there could be more, but this is at least part of it. If we do see a pick, I think that may be pretty good. But right now, I don't hate this at all. Colorado made some big moves as well, so I mean, I'm sure they're not trying to give up too much, but this is a big start to the final hour of NHL free agency. Elliot Friedman has said more involved. There has been more involved in this trade. Yeah, no, Coyle's one of these players as well that, you're gonna miss, but I think this is a good deal. Give him that cup. Let him be able to go and get that. Colorado's a great spot for him, and it was just one of these moves that had to be made, and there we go. I got a graphic here. Let's head over to Casey Mittelstadt on this season. 63 games. 34 points, close on 20 minutes time on ice this year at 26 years old. This is a great start so far, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever else we're seeing from this, whatever else we are going to be looking at the remainder of this team, this trade, this is a great start. This is a very, very good start. I don't know the exact specifics here on this Casey Mittelstadt contract. However, I will check this right now, and I will get it up onto our stream. He signed an extension. I don't know exactly what it is. A 3-year, $5.75 million deal. So you're basically replacing the contract of Charlie Coyle with Casey Mittelstadt and more. This is a very, very good move. He's under protection. This is a great move. I feel like this is something that was bound to happen. I feel like this was something that we've been really kind of expecting over the last few days, but we actually have seen it now here. I will pull up the Elliot Friedman one. That more involved. What could that mean, Elliot? Let us know. Still no update yet. Still goes to Casey Mittelstadt for Charlie Coyle. I'm a big fan of this move, already at this. And once again, for those who just popped in, I see a little influx of people coming in here. Casey Mittelstadt has been very good this season on a new contract. 3 years. On the first year of this 3 years, 5.75. Sorry, this is a great trade so far. The reported return for Coyle is Casey Mittelstadt, who has 2 years left on his deal. Will Zellers. Wow. This is a major win for the Boston Bruins here. We have, I believe, our official trade from Anthony DeMarco. I will pull this up on the screen right here. Casey Mittelstadt, Will Zellers, and a second-round pick for Charlie Coyle. What do you guys think about this trade? This is huge. I never would have thought that we would be looking at this type of return for Charlie Coyle. This is big. Will Zellers also is the second highest points in the USHL right now with 58 and 40 games for the Green Bay Gamblers. This deal is wow. I'm genuinely shocked that this type of deal is here for the Boston Bruins at this point. Here we have, I'll pull this down here. We have a lot of screenshots here, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen right now. But looking at this deal, this is a crazy return. I would have been sufficed with Casey Mittelstadt by himself. A 26-year-old making really the same as Charlie Coyle, who's playing a very good season with Colorado. And you get a second-round pick and the second highest point total player in the USHL. This deal is... I'm genuinely shocked. 18-year-old Will Zellers from Maple Grove, Minnesota. A 5'10", 163 left winger. Definitely want to put on some pounds. But this is a very, very good sign. 37 goals in 40 games. Who do we have? Cole Caulfield here. Ladies and gentlemen, what a move the Bruins have made right here, right now. Here we go. This is the reaction that I'm waiting for. A lot of you guys like this deal. I am a major fan of this right here. This is a good deal. This is a very, very good deal. I will put on the Bruins Digest Twitter that I am live for the last hour here. If any of you guys are on X or Twitter, be sure to follow the Twitter. Getting more into that. I'm may try and kind of do a cross stream, not here today, but eventually when it comes down to it. So when I stream on YouTube, be streaming on X as well and whatnot. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go and give those a follow as well. A lot of a lot of stuff coming here on the channel. It's going to be very, very exciting. But this deal is crazy. Bruins fan, that's the perfect timing. You didn't miss much. We just got a great deal here, so you are just in time for these moves here. Casey Mittelstadt, Will Zellers, and a second for Charlie Coyle. Now, Will Zellers, for those who don't know, I didn't really know him. I heard the name, but I didn't know who he was. Has been putting up numbers in the USHL. 37 goals in 40 games for the Green Bay Gamblers. 58 points at 18 years old. Going to Casey Mittelstadt, who has recently signed a 3-year extension with Colorado Avalanche. 5.75 for 2 more years after this season. Playing great. Has really bounced back from, what he was being called a bust earlier on in the season. Early on in his career, excuse me. We got a good deal here. I feel like all of our reactions here are the same. You hate to lose a guy like Charlie Coyle, but this is a great return and a great deal. You really cannot complain about this at all. Let me go over, and I will put the stream link on X for this. Share. Okay. That's a good point, John. With this trade, this kind of, I don't want to say eliminates a Marchand trade because I still think it's a possibility. But it certainly has lowered the odds, I guess we could say. But it does seem, and I feel like stuff still could happen. We've still seen some of these other guys be thrown into conversation because of the Western Conference. Teams are going to be looking to buy now that Dallas and Colorado both have, I'll call it made super teams. looking at these teams, they're going to be looking to add. And, the Oilers, we know that even though they're Pacific, the Western Conference is very competitive. If they're really looking to go out and get a guy like Brad Marchand, a guy like, anybody we've been talking about, it's a possibility. But I feel like, as you said, John, it's very unlikely now, and it is going to be, it's gonna have to be the right deal, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here. That, this is, Charlie Coyle was probably, I don't want to say the least value of what the players have been, but Zacha and Carlo really makes me wonder now what they could get. Carlo, I feel like there's no way Carlo don't get traded because of how much we've been hearing about him over the last, few days. But this could be the beginning of a major, major influx of trades here. And Will Zellers is a University of North Dakota commit, for those wondering, who I guess it will be heading there next season, would be my guess, after this season in the USHL. But if we can get some big things, here we go. I'll pull up what Michael Sullivan just put on X, because I didn't really want to go and do the digging myself, let's just say. But looking at what we have here from Will Zellers. Will Zellers, University of North Dakota commit. 18-year-old center and left winger. 5'11", 170. Okay, so, the hockey DB was a bit off. Very speedy, offensively driven. 54 games played, 57 goals, 54 assists, 111 points for St. Mary's last season. And now this year, 40 games played, 37 goals, 21 assists, 58 points for the Green Bay Gamblers. This could be a steal when it comes down to it. I think it already is. But when it comes down to it, this could be interesting. And now, okay, we have another Bruins update. Not a trade here. But David Pastrnak has just tweeted a very interesting post regarding Brad Marchand. As Carolina explores more moves, I wonder if they try to poke around on Brad Marchand. This right here is definitely an interesting one. With now a lot of cap space open, with Rantanen completely gone, the Hurricanes, one of these teams as well that are looking to add, looking to buy, looking to kind of go to the Cup. They can do it already, and Marchand would be a great addition for that team. So I don't want to get too far into this. I don't want to get lost, but the fact that David Pastrnak is coming out and putting something like this out there, putting it into the minds, he's a guy that knows some stuff that we don't at the initial look. But when we head back to the conversation about Don Sweeney, this is another good move. This is another really, really good move. We got 45 minutes left just about in this deadline to go and see what else is happening. If this is the time now that Don Sweeney has been, kind of discussing over the past few weeks, he's made definitely a start, a splash to start. But Joe Veleno for Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith. That's another interesting one. But it's Bruins time, baby. It's Bruins time. We've already made one deal today. And we have another one coming, I would assume. I would very much assume this. Okay. With 45 minutes left, we have Geeky, Zacha, Carlo, Marchand. We have 4 players left that are looking at potential trades. Realistically. Now, more could happen, but 4 realistic options for the Bruins here. But adding this, Geeky's definitely one that I think we got to keep. He's been a, the only really, I shouldn't say the only because, of course, Pastrnak, Marchand playing good, but the only, shocking success this season after the way that he started comparing to bouncing back. It was definitely a good sign, but I do like the idea of keeping Geeky. He's realistically the only one that I would do, apart from the big normal players that we talk about in, Pastrnak, Swayman, McAvoy. Because Geeky's only 26 years old, RFA. You have the control. You can sign him to an extension, and if he does continue to play the way he has, he's shown that pairing with Pastrnak is an excellent one. But David Pastrnak has tweeted that very interesting one as we do head to the final 3 quarters of this one. Trade Swayman for Ullmark. That's something I would definitely expect from Don Sweeney, but I shouldn't say that because he's been doing good the past few days. But Will Zellers has, likely moved into the first prospect spot, putting him in with a guy like Casey Mittelstadt, who, although has been traded a few times, there's some interesting looks at, what people think about him. But from his stats, we'll pull him up once again right here. This season, 63 games, 34 points with 18 minutes time on ice on a Colorado Avalanche team that is incredibly stacked. I like the deal. I like the move. I like the way that things are playing out. I do see that Casey Mittelstadt could be a major part of this team's, next few years. Being 26-year-old, being under contract, it really just makes sense to me. But we don't mind Mr. Patrick Kane popping up there. He's not going to be traded to the Boston Bruins, unfortunately. But this team has made some splashes, and we're going to have to see if any more come down this pipeline. But David Pastrnak has gotten quite a few looks at this tweet from Marchand. The Hurricanes are a team that we've heard about, we've been seeing, but not as much as some other teams that are, especially in the West, and that's where we look at that coming down. But there's another trade, Cody Glass from Pittsburgh to New Jersey. When you're looking at teams like this as well, for Pittsburgh, they're going to be selling as well, similar to the Boston Bruins. So you're going to have to compete with teams like that who are looking for depth forwards and whatnot like that. But it will be interesting to see. You could definitely get a first rounder for Geeky if you're getting a second Casey Mittelstadt and Will Zellers for Charlie Coyle. If you put it in that sense, you could almost get 2 firsts for Geeky if it's a trade of that value. But yeah, for sure, a first round pick for Geeky would make sense here. But the next coach of the Boston Bruins is going to be interesting. It will not be Joe Sacco. I think that's been pretty much confirmed for the way this season has been playing out, especially as of late. But looking at the, I guess the offseason, it's going to be an interesting one that I think we may see a coach that may have not been in the NHL before, could have been. One I think is going to be having to keep an eye on is Mike Sullivan of the Pittsburgh Penguins. There is uncertainty if he will be, coaching that team next year. I think that he's a good coach. The Penguins are just not a great team. So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. So the second round pick that was in that trade is a 2025. So this season's second round pick is what is in that Charlie Coyle deal. We're also giving up a 5th rounder in 2026. So that is fine with me. I think there's a lot of options for coaching. You know, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think there's a lot of options, but I think the Bruins are going to do a type of coach that will be able to develop players as well. And if it does look like the Bruins are trying to heading in this very young direction, it really just makes sense to be able to, you know, work with a coach who can develop into, you know, one of these all-time coaches. And that's exactly as well. I think that the NCAA is probably going to have a few coaches that are going to be poached this season. And it will be interesting to see, you know, the contracts. I don't know the exact coaching contracts in the NCAA off the top of my head. But I feel like there's certainly some that are going to be good. At the NHL level, I should say. So they're already very good, but there's some that will have their game translate very, very good, very well into the NHL level. Bring back Claude Julien. I mean, you might as well at this point. Bring him back now, right now, for the rest of the season. Why not? This is also a great addition, Will Zellers, for your offense. Your goal scoring has been down this season, apart from Morgan Geekie and David Pastrnak. And now you get a guy who's almost goal per game in 40 games in the USHL, 18 years old, a known goal scorer, heading to college next year. I like that deal. I do like that deal. I like the idea of getting some elite goal scorers for the future. I did see that Lauko got back yesterday, and I feel like this is a very good move. You know, I think it's a move that needed to be made. I do have it right. Here. This one here. Justin Brazeau, of course, gone to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Marat Kuznetsov and Jacob Lauko. Lauko was a guy that I wanted to see back. I feel like this move was not just made for talent, but I feel like it was also made for, you know, locker room, you know, how made this team's chemistry. He was a big part of that, and it kind of dropped off ever since he went. So I do like the move to bring him back. He's young, RFA, will be re-signed, I would assume. And it's just a player that is good to have. He's good to have on your team. He's a guy that you want to have on your team. And of course, Marat Kuznetsov as well. Just a very, very talented player that will develop really good with the Bruins. We traded Lauko to the Wild. Was it for Pat Maroon? I might have been. I can't remember. Let me see. I think it was Pat Maroon. No, it was Vinny Lettieri. I do apologize. Vinny Lettieri and a 4th round pick swap. But now he's back, and we both of them. So I mean, I think it worked out. I'm a big fan of this deal. I'm a big fan of the deal with Trent Frederic. I'm a big fan of the deal that just went down. I feel like Don Sweeney has been making some good trades, but as you said, David, he does not know how to draft. So that trade is now official. Yeah, That trade is now official with the NHL. Casey Mittelstadt is a Boston Bruin, along with Will Zellers. And Mrazek headed to the Red Wings along with, I can't remember who else it was, for Joe Veleno, which is an interesting trade. It does seem like the Blackhawks are also just trying to add quite a few players to be able to have a selection next year and kind of choose who they want. But it's time to see some more Bruins trades. Oh, excuse me. The Bruins have done very, very good so far this trade deadline. And, with more to come, we have 30 minutes left. 30 minutes left until we really know the deals for sure. And, of course, as I mentioned earlier as well, you're looking at a lot of deals trickling in after the hour mark, or after the deadline mark, which has been a normal type of thing that comes for, Craig Smith. When we're looking at a lot of stuff trickling in over the deadline, we're going to get some official words then, but we should know realistically before. We'll have a few videos out after the stream as well, so be sure to give a sub if you haven't here in the stream. If you're watching now and you're looking for Boston Bruins news, I got it daily. I got it all for us here on the channel. But as well, give the stream a like. We got a lot of stuff coming over the remaining 30 minutes of this trade deadline with the Boston Bruins in specific. But we have some exciting stuff to get back to, I guess we could say. Foligno back would be a good thing. I don't think they're going to trade him, though. I think he's going to retire there after they made him the captain. I think he's just going to be that guy that is going to be... I feel like he's going to be the guy that's going to be there until he retires. That's in the Rantanen trade. Very, very, very good for the Carolina Hurricanes. When you're looking at 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven for Mikko Rantanen, who you probably weren't going to re-sign, very, very good. And I think that set a kind of new precedent in trades for players of upper value, similar to that with uncertainty in the contracts. And we're going to have a lot of that over the next few years. Yeah, Marchand would need to go to the West if we trade him. I cannot see him in the East. We really can't. Yes, Casey Mittelstadt is a Boston Bruin. Here is the official trade. Charlie Coyle on a 5th-round pick in 2026, sending to the Colorado Avalanche. And the Boston Bruins get Casey Mittelstadt, Will Zellers, and a 2nd-round pick, an absolute steal. And for Will Zellers, for those who don't know, is... where is this? Where's our stats? Let's pull up this one from Connor Ryan right here. Sorry, not Connor Ryan. Michael Sullivan here. 54 games played, 57 goals, 54 assists last year in St. Mary's. But this year with the Green Bay Gamblers, 37 goals, 21 assists, and 58 points in 40 games. Nearly point per game at the USHL. Is heading to the University of North Dakota next season. This was a very good trade for the Boston Bruins here. It is a very, very good deal. This is a steal. I'm going to be honest. I definitely stretch the truth on some trades. Although they're very, very good for the Boston Bruins. But, this one is genuinely a steal. Like, full-blown, like, no lies. No bit of, over-exaggeration. I'm a big fan of it. So I'll leave this up here, actually, for those who pop in and kind of see this trade. What would I accept for Brad Marchand? That's a tough kind of question to answer because, there's a few possibilities. For Brad Marchand, teams are going to be willing to give up many different things. I think teams that have first-round picks will probably offer them. Teams that don't will be offering, I think, top prospects. So I would really need to be given almost a sense of what team it is before I can actually make a deal, say yes or no. But right now in my mind, with 30 minutes, a little under 30 minutes left to go, I do see a possible Brad Marchand trade accepted. I mean, Rick, you got to say though, we've seen some pretty good trades over the past few days from Don Sweeney here. You can't deny that. And, I'm one of the biggest Don Sweeney haters there are, but I mean, he's had some steals the past few days. Now, if we do look at what the Bruins have done so far, and with what the Bruins, could also still do, and still a few names that have been thrown out there quite a bit, but teams will have to really compete to be able to put this in there. To put like a trade in and make it work. Because a lot of these guys that the Bruins have as well, there's some that we've been talking about. I think Brad Marchand, you would have to overpay for the Bruins to actually give him up. But there's a few other players in Carlo, in Pavel Zacha that could go. But only a matter of time will tell with 25 minutes on the clock, just about. Oh, absolutely, Rick. Let him do this and just say, yeah, thanks for making the team better when you're not here. That's what we got to do. Has been pretty quiet here for a few moments, apart from the New York Rangers and Euro Vakanainen have agreed to a 2-year contract extension, but we still have to wait for another Bruins move. Anthony DeMarco actually broke the trade, so I mean, good for him. Bruins side of things, getting the deal reported and done. But Lysell is another option I think that could certainly be traded, especially with the lack of use for him with the Boston Bruins. I feel like he could be one that you kind of swap out for a player or a team that could use a prospect now to put in the NHL level. I feel like the Bruins could be that team if they didn't have him, but they're just not using him the right way. Why try and keep him? When it does come down to it, is he going to sign a contract extension? Is he going to want to stay here if he's not playing? That's a big question. Korpisalo is another one. I feel like it's kind of hard to trade a goalie, but there's a team in the Colorado Avalanche that could certainly use one. The Edmonton Oilers, or not the Colorado Avalanche, excuse me, sorry. The Edmonton Oilers could certainly use one. TSN's Trade Central was talking about that earlier, and not specifically Korpisalo, but a goalie that can win, and I do think that a goalie that's good and can win is Korpisalo. Marchand to the Canucks. That would be an interesting one. Because if you get a guy like Brock Besser, that's not a horrible deal. That's one of the better ones that you could actually get in a move like that. Wow. Wyatt Johnson, the Dallas Stars, are completing a 5-year, $8.4 million extension. They managed to do that, and Mikko Rantanen. Oh my. Quite a bit of money there. All these other teams are making moves. The Bruins got to be on it now. We have to do something. This is an interesting one as well from what I'm seeing right now on X. Is people are calling Casey Mittelstadt the 1C. What do we think about that? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about Casey Mittelstadt being the number 1 center here? And moving Zacha down to 2. putting Elias Lindholm at 3, Poitras at 4, and Kastelik may move to the wing. Or no, sorry, move Poitras to the wing, keep Kastelik there at 4. Send down some other guys, maybe Riley Tufte, maybe Patrick Brown. I think it's a good way to kind of show off what this trade got you. I just seen a clip of Will Zellers scoring an absolute nasty goal. Oh my lord. Yeah, that kid's good. Yeah, no, I agree with you there, Daniel. I don't think Korpisalo will go, but I don't hate the idea of trying to put a bit of pressure on Swayman with another younger goalie in Mikey DiPietro. He's playing very, very well. Very, very well this season, and I think he could be a great, NHL goalie. I really do. Zacha, Middlestat, Pasta, Marchand, Lindholm, Geeky. I don't mind that at all. I think there's no doubt Casey Middlestat will be on the first line to at least start off. Maybe second to start off, but he's going to be a great player. Middlestat is going to be very, very good. I agree, Noah. It's one that adding to this, what I will call a monstrosity, cannot hurt. Michael Sullivan just posed the question on Twitter. Did this save Don Sweeney's job? And I know we kind of had that conversation here a few minutes ago, but I don't know. It's a tough one to be able to kind of justify, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. And exactly, Rick. Bob Estelsa, he's there for a reason. And we see goalies in Boston be so good for a reason. Zacha can do both. Zacha can play both, but he has been a center for the Bruins here as of late. These trades, I'll tell you, I'm a fan of them. Me personally, I'm a big fan of these. I'm a big fan of these trades. I feel like Don Sweeney has actually done well in adding to the future of this team, and the way that it's been playing out, the way that so far he's done it in these 3 trades. This one for Charlie Coyle, with Casey Middlestat, Will Zellers in the second round pick. What he had done right here in the Marat Huznadinov, Jacob Blauko, a 6th for Justin Brazeau, and Trent Frederic. I think that those deals are very, very good. Very, very good for the future of the Bruins. I can't blame you for still not liking him. I think that it's a long way to make it back because we know the draft is not the specialty for the Bruins, but it could be better. It could be very, very much better. The return is crazy for Rantanen. 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Stankoven. That's crazy. Genuinely insane for, especially in a guy that you knew had no leverage with, the Hurricanes. They could have kept him, but they never would have been able to re-sign him. I don't think they would have wanted to, but I don't know. It's genuinely crazy to see. Yeah, trading Coyle was bound to happen. It sucks to see him go, but it was a move that was no doubt going to be made if the team wanted to progress in any positive way. And we do have to look at Carlo as well, Rick. You know, I've seen that there as well. That's another one that's interesting. And Carolina being in on Brad Marchand, I still think it's kind of crazy. You know, it makes sense because they just got rid of Rantanen, but I want to see a move made. I want to see another move made with these last 17 minutes we have left. This is not exactly down to the second, but this is like just about the right time. So when this clock strikes 0 up here, that's going to be the end of the deadline with deals trickling in afterwards. I will stay live a bit after as well. Going to do a video on Charlie Coyle, so be sure to stick around for that. Hit the sub button if you haven't already and you're here and you get all your Bruins news. I got it right here for you. Do it pretty quick. You know, I don't want to say I'm first because obviously those Twitter analysts got first, and I'm not an analyst, but breaking it all down, I'm usually pretty early on these. That's a very big jump, Will, for Don Sweeney to a 7 out of 10. Now, I can absolutely agree that he's certainly done, you know, a much better job. So, you know, he's definitely gone up a few points in mine, but it still is concerning when it comes to the draft knowing what he's done. Now, I'm sure that's also not him. His scouting department's telling him what to do. But, you know, really, who knows at this point? I do agree on Korpisalo there as well. His salary is a bit too high for a backup, but he's also just a good starter. You know, like, he could start on many NHL teams. Okay, so Thomas, we got this one today. This is the only move today for the Bruins. Charlie Coyle and a 5th-round pick in 2026 to the Colorado Avalanche for Casey Middlestat, who is in the first year of a new contract extension with $5.75 million. Will Zellers, who is an absolutely unreal prospect, and at least in my mind, immediately is jumping to the number 1 prospect in the Bruins system, and a 2nd-round pick. Will Zellers, I will pull up the right here from Michael Sullivan. This season with the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL, 37 goals, 21 points, 37 goals, 21 assists, 58 points in 40 games, nearly goal per game. But looking at his last year's stats with St. Mary's, 54 games played, 57 goals, 54 assists for 111 points, and committed to the University of North Dakota. An incredible, incredible trade. I would say that is the best trade so far for the Bruins here at this deadline. Although I do believe all are very good. And that's true as well. You know, missing the playoffs is certainly something that is not normal for the Bruins. So, you know, we've seen the way that kind of coaches play out with this, but GM is now have to be in at least some sort of conversation to be, you know, fired. No matter what happens. Oh, yeah, no, for sure, Richard. These are the best, like, you know, I'd argue some of the only good things that Don Sweeney's done all season. He's really made these trades work for the future. So, like, you know, he's not trying to add now. He's not trying to add for, like, you know, next season. He's adding for now, like, over the next, I'll call it 6 to 7 years. You know, the playoffs are definitely a distance away, but if everything plays out into the Bruins, you know, plays out into their hand, it's not impossible. It's very unlikely, but it's not impossible. If teams start to fall apart, you never really know. A lot of you guys are calling for McDavid, calling for Hyman, for Marchand. You know, there are some ways that I think that a trade could there's a lot of possible trades I think we could see with the Edmonton Oilers. I think it all depends though on what they want to do. The Oilers need a goalie. If you could package somehow Marchand and Korpisalo in for a very good return for the Edmonton Oilers, that's not one I hate at all. Well, apart from trading Marchand, but if the deal is right, it's something that you got to think about. We are a little over 10 minutes away, and it has been radio silence since that Charlie Coyle deal. Yeah, no, playoffs are not happening this year. Trying to be a bit optimistic, but it's very hard to be when we've been able to see the Bruins this season and how things have played out. Justin Brazeau is debuting tonight for the Minnesota Wild. I just seen that notification there on my phone. It's an interesting one as well. I mean, he's back, so or back there already. So, maybe we do see Casey Middlestat come to the. I seen someone saying that in the chat. I completely forgot to answer you. I do apologize, but I think it depends where he is, because I genuinely have no idea where Casey Middlestat is right now. I don't know if they're in Colorado or not. But if he is, it may not be next game, but it could be the game after. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get something about that later today, but right now I'm not sure. There's still time. We could still get rid of Beecher. Try Lindholm. Poitras, I don't want to. I don't want to trade Poitras. Bobby Middlestat has this year and 2 more years. He signed a 3-year extension this offseason, or this most recent offseason. So he has 2 years after this one at 5.75. An inside source just said we're sending a package of Deacon Lowry to Carolina. Who was that, Joseph? I feel like I got a lot of following people on X, and I haven't seen one of those yet, but that could be something if true. "25 seconds away from 10 minutes. And as I mentioned, I'll mention it again. Deals can trickle in after the deadline if they're in the waiting list for the call for the NHL to confirm it and things like that. But right now, we don't have anything. And I'll be honest, I do think that the Bruins need to make at least another trade. I think they need to make one more. But overall, if the deadline ends like this, if the deadline ends with these 3 trades, I still think it is a dub. I still think it would be a win. Obviously, more moves should be made. You never really know what's going to happen with a few other contracts. Zacha's locked up. A few other players are locked up that certainly could be traded. Carlo was one that I think. Carlo's one that I think should be traded. No doubt in my mind, because he struggled this year because of no Hampus Lindholm. But he's a right-handed defenseman. Was one of the top on the market after the Seth Jones trade. We do have an interesting tweet here from the Vegas Golden Knights. They have traded, or they have not traded, sorry. Did not mean that, not trying to get anybody's hopes up. They have tweeted hi 4 minutes ago. We have to remember who the Vegas Golden Knights head coach is. Bruce Cassidy sure does like Brad Marchand. And now we will have to see what happens from here with 8 minutes on the clock. Insider sources say the Toronto Maple Leafs are trading Matthews, Nylander, and Marner so the Bruins for Andrew Peeke. You know, it's not a bad deal. Too little value. You know, I did too as well, Will. I thought Carlo would have been gone for sure. I feel like the right-handed defenseman, the aspect of that is just too valuable. But it has not seemed like it just yet. Yeah, Zadorov is very slow. Very, very slow. The team needed to add speed, and I think that I can confidently say that the team definitely got quicker. The team got better for the future. Not right now, because, of course, trading some of these guys, you're going to have a few AHL players in the NHL for the time being, but I do like how this deadline has played out so far, and with 7 minutes left on the clock, there is still more things that can happen. This Vegas Golden Knights tweet is scaring me, and I will pull this up on the screen. Now, I know their admin likes to kind of mess around a bit, but this is interesting. That's what I'm thinking as well about Brian and Carlo. What happened to the conversation with him in Calgary? What happened to the conversation with him in Winnipeg? You know, where did they go? They didn't get any defensemen. Like, so they still need defensemen to add to that team. But I don't know. I don't know what happened to us. But this tweet up here, though, scaring me. You're 5 minutes away. I believe this timer's off by like 30 seconds, but we're 5 minutes away about from the NHL trade deadline. With moves that will trickle in, so remember, don't tune out when the deadline is up, when this timer's gone, because I will be still here, kind of going over what's happening, what we're seeing, if anything trickles in after, but this is the beginning of a new Bruins team. I think this is the beginning of it. I think in the offseason, we're going to see some free agency signings, some good draft picks, players that can play now, players that can play 8 years down the line. I do think that what moves we've seen here today and yesterday and the day before have really put this team in a positive direction. I'm going to pull up right here the list that we have of the moves that have been made by the Boston Bruins so far. When we're looking at who they've gained, what they've gained, and losing, this is definitely a big win. Now, there's still time for another move to happen, but this is overall pretty damn good. Yeah, no, I feel like Vegas has to be something big brewing. We haven't seen anything, right now. Nothing still right now, but looking at Twitter, this Vegas tweet has 400,000 views already. And with 3 minutes, let's call it. My clock on my computer says 3 minutes, so don't mind this time up here, but that still is correct. When this timer expires, is the deadline. We will get the kind of announcement tweets when the deadline hits about if stuff is still trickling in. Normally, that's the way it goes, but it is pretty bone dry on the X world right now. You're right about that, Black Lodge. Is you don't really know if it will work out, but I think being able to have someone you trade for Marchand now, like if just say you go out and, I don't want to say anybody on Edmonton right now because they kind of got rid of their decent prospects because they didn't offer sheet them, or didn't sign the offer sheet. Like, you almost want someone that could go and make this team now, and you have the evidence that they've been proven good players. I think that's the issue. That's what they're missing in a potential trade. Victor Olofsson missed practice. I believe is he hurt though? I know he was. I'm not sure if he still is, but it could be interesting. And Sean, that's exactly what I'm kind of thinking as well. I do think that Marchand, how good he is this year, and he's going to be regressing. He's going to be deteriorating. He's 30. He's going to be 37 when his contract expires in the offseason. He wants a 3-year deal. 3-year, let's just say $7 million for a guy who's 37, going to be 40. Has a lot of injuries. It's tough to justify. It is. But also being your captain and whatnot, that's where things come into play. But I do completely agree. He is a deteriorating asset. We are 1 minute away from the deadline on my computers. 2 minutes away on the timer on the stream. We are now getting the announcements of teams done for the day. The Montreal Canadiens are done. Yoel Armia and David Savard are both staying with the Boston Bruins, but we are getting these tweets rolling in now. Let's see what else comes out from this. Hopefully we do see another Bruins move. Pasta will be the next captain. If we do see a Marchand trade here now in the next minute, that's what's going to happen, I think. I mean, after this season, of course, but things can change pretty quick. I hate to say it, be like, but Swayman certainly is both of those. This season, at least, I'm not counting it out. Next year, I'm not counting it out whatnot, but right now he is. Now we are less than 1 minute away from the deadline. The deadline's already hit realistically on the computer in real life in your current standings, but right now we are 39 seconds away from the Bruins Digest NHL trade deadline hitting, but we will see where things go here in the next few minutes. Of course, as I mentioned, stick around. We're gonna be here for a while just after this, getting things done, talking about what's happening. If we do see any more trades, because they can trickle in after the deadline, if you're already on a trade call, and normally those trades don't get announced until the trade call is almost done and whatnot. But Charles, it's been very noticeable, and I think that's why the Bruins are where they are right now. That's why they're kind of scraping at straws. That's why all this is kind of just playing out not great. The deadline is done, as we see right here on this. I didn't even know the clock ran out, but this is the first time I'm using this plugin. This is pretty cool. The trade deadline is up. Elliot Friedman dropped a bombshell. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Stick around. Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers. Oh my goodness. What are we seeing? What's going on? Now, nothing is done yet. Nothing is done yet. If a call's being made, the deal can be done. But if things don't progress, it's still not maybe done. But this is wild. Now this, I do believe, stems from the Four Nations face-off. That would be my guess. You guys may get a live video. I may record this video while streaming and then put this up. This is... will someone tweet anything out? Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand on the same team. Brad Marchand, it seems to be true. This is insane. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. I will have all of these updates here as we do this. Just change the title of the stream to talking about this, but oh my god. What are we seeing right now? This is genuine. This is sickening. Thomas, I honestly have no idea. Right now, Elliot Friedman has tweeted this out. Last minute possibility, hearing that Brad Marchand could be traded to the Florida Panthers. Now, it's not done. A trade call is still happening. We're still sticking around here for a bit. But things seem to be going in this direction. It is official from Pierre LeBrun, from Chris Johnson. A trade is happening. It is still pending a call, but a trade is happening. Anton Lundell and picks. John, did you see? Did you have any? Do you see that anywhere? Can you point me in the right direction for that? This is absolutely insane. As the deadline has expired, as the deadline was up, with a trade call left, Don Sweeney has done it. We're still waiting to see any possible return. Okay, that's what I'm thinking as well. John, is the chatter of what I've been seeing, like official. It is official. Elliot Friedman has put out this. Let me get rid of these two. Pull this one up. I think that's the more important one. Marchand to Florida. No return just yet. Stick around. I will have it all here. But if this value works, obviously the Panthers are not the team that we'd like to see this happen to. But this could be a massive trade. This is I don't know what to say. I genuinely did not think that Brad Marchand was going to get traded. I had the idea there. But this is crazier than I could have imagined. For the Panthers, to the Panthers. There is no there's no return just yet. We're still pending trade call. I don't think it's going to be Matthew Tkachuk. As much as that would be amazing, I really don't think it is. Oh my god, we have another one. The Toronto Maple Leafs are getting Brandon Carlo. What is happening? What is going on? Oh my god. What is happening? I'm not gonna have enough room on my screen soon enough. I have so many screenshots here. Okay, so we also have we don't have any return just yet for either. These are literally the two teams that all we need now is to trade someone to the Canadiens. Like, what's going on? What is happening? This is the first trade since the Bruins and Maple Leafs and since 2011. Carlo was one that we've all been kind of expecting, but Marchand to the Panthers was one that, nobody could have expected. What's going on? What is happening? What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? I'm still not seeing any returns just yet. We're still waiting. We're still seeing what is coming now, but we can confirm that these two are happening. These two are things that are happening right now. You're right, John. This don't seem much like a retool. I mean, I would have said a few of these players being gone would have been, but this is just absurd. This is absurd. No, I completely agree there, Christopher, as well. Trading two of your top names, Brandon Carlo not this season, but you're trading two of your top names interdivisional. I don't understand this. Vegas and Vancouver for Besser. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. So that's that. Okay, so we know that's not a Bruins. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Marcus, I'm in the same boat. I'm waiting to see what the return is before I actually, come out and judge this. But things are getting insane. They're already insane. And Fabian Zetterlund from San Jose to Ottawa. That's not important right now. Not important right now. Marchand is gone to the Florida Panthers, Anthony. The Florida Panthers have acquired Brad Marchand. And Tom as well. That was something that I was kind of thinking of as well. You never know if he had planned to retire, you probably would have kept him, or tried to get him the last cup. I don't know, but this is beyond crazy. Now, this is a good time to say, if you have not hit the sub button already, you're in the stream now. You're looking for more of this Bruins news as it comes out. Be sure to do so right now. I'm going to be covering all of this in videos here in the stream, after the stream and whatnot, but this is crazy. And now, we are going to be waiting probably a little bit until some trade gets announced because of the phone lines being kind of stocked up with the NHL, with teams kind of doing these last minute trades, because you need to get the call in for the trade to actually be able to go through, and that's what's happening right now. So we know we can wait on that, but this is wild. Yeah, and I don't think they're gonna they won't name a captain until next year. There's no way they do. The Blackhawks are taking on Shea Weber's contract. He's in the Hall of Fame. It's either going to be McAvoy or Pastrnak, the next captain. It's going to be one of the two. I don't really see anybody else, but this is Danny. I think a big part of that is the shallowness and lack of depth of right defense across the league. But that would be my only guess. Still no return just yet, but I genuinely cannot believe this. As soon as these trades get announced, what the return is, I'm going to be making a video, hopping off the stream. Be sure to check those videos out. They're going to be some crazy ones. We got no returns yet, just Rick. Rick. We are still waiting for the returns. They're in the queue for the deadline. That's what we're seeing right now from David Pastrnak. I believe it's David Pastrnak. Let me see when this gets up. Not yet, Brody. We do not know just yet, but my instincts are telling me it's a package. As long as the trades were in the queue by the 3 p.m. deadline, they'll go ahead, such as Marchand and Panthers, Carlo to the Leafs, and 3 other ones. So right now, they are in this. This is Notifications have not stopped on the phone. I still have not gotten any trade yet. But we are now seeing the Utah trade for Shea Weber's contract. That's done. So that trade is done in the list. We should see a trade here soon. The announcement, the reveal of what it is. Pastrnak's going to be playing with me on the first line. Sean, I am in the Atlantic Ocean. I'm in Newfoundland. So, yes, I am in the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, the 2026 draft is much better than this next one, but this next one's not bad at all either. The trades are from Chris Johnson on Twitter and Elliot Freeman. Both, well, they're probably both on now, but TSN's confirming it, Sportsnet is confirming it, and in Canada, those are really the only two I'm getting. So, these are just crazy. Oh no. Oh. Bleacher Report just put this on X. Sickening. That is sickening. It sure seems like it, Kelly. This is not a retool. This is a rebuild. I will check with the Panthers. I'll check what picks they have because a pick has to be involved. I feel like we can I don't want to say confirm it, but they have no first round picks until 2027. They have no picks this year above a fourth. They have a second next year, no first, no third, and then in 2027 they have all their picks. Like, what could this be if they have no picks? It has to be some sort of young play. I genuinely don't know who it could be. Well, Kelly, first time in the stream, definitely the right time. Definitely the right time to tune in with all of this stuff going down here on the trade deadline. A third team could be involved, Vetter. I don't know for sure. I don't think we'll know until we see at least some sort of thing go down. So, with this screenshot that I had of the moves that the Bruins have made, that has been changed quite a bit. I know, Noah. I'm in the exact same boat. I need to see I need to see it on paper. We have another trade. We have another trade from Darren Drager. If this gets done in time, the Buffalo Sabres have sent Henry Jokiharju to the Boston Bruins. I'll slot this one in here. That's good enough. What? This, probably a good thing. Probably a good thing that we're not getting picks because Sweeney can't pick them. So this middle one from Darren Drager, so far, is a possibility. We don't know, however, I'll move it here. We don't know, however, if this got done in time. Henry Jokiharju, young defenseman. I'm okay with that. That kind of just adds enough depth. There's probably, a mid-pick, a middle-round pick, but this team is not going to be, I feel bad for whoever has jerseys with any of these players. Luckily, I don't. This is a Nathan Horton jersey. But luckily, we're getting to see something, but this is more than I could ever have thought. I am genuinely at a loss for words. What is going on? That's a smart decision, Black Lodge. Very smart decision. Still no updates, guys. Still no updates. I'm trying my best to get some stuff out as soon as possible. I'm going to many different sources, but the house is cleaned. Oh my. Pierre, we're playing on Boston's first line. Me, you, and David Pastrnak. Pretty much what it seems like with all of these trades going on. Like, I'm at a loss for words. As we wait for these trades, when we look at this roster, I'm going to pull this one up here from last game. The screenshots will be back in a minute. Don't mind the timer. The deadline's over. Let's pull this off. There we go. We look at this team here now. These forwards are going to be our actual lineup. As of right now, of course, there's moves pending to be made with these three trades. There's, these are our forwards. John Beach is going to be playing first line minutes. Probably no, he's not, but he could. Like we have no team. And oh my lord. I think it's a good time, though, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. It's going to be a very, very, very busy next few days. Covering all of this, everything that comes out from this. You're not going to want to miss it. Okay, we do have something coming out here from Michael Sullivan. I'm not sure if this is for sure, but Carlo for Timmins could be the option here. I don't know if this is the case, but it's Michael Sullivan put that out on Twitter. Okay, so the Zetterlund trade is done. That's announced. It should be the Bruins' turn next to be in the call and figuring out what's going to happen. Yeah, and for those who are just here, this screenshot was from last game. So all of these players here now are going to be shuffled around and whatnot. But we do have this trade. We have these 3 trades to possibly go. These 2 for sure. Where are my fingers? These 2 for sure. This one maybe. And Coyle gone. So in the trade call queue, they should be right now because I believe the Zetterlund one was first. These are absolutely insane. I need to get these got to be announced. I need to get these videos done. Still no updates. But yeah, like if this doesn't confirm it, the rebuild is there. You know, the rebuild's official. I think that's something that we can confirm. Brock Besser is staying. No moves. They're done for the day. It says the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, and I guess we could see what happens with Lindholm and Zadorov in the offseason. I mean, they will be useless to a rebuild, especially Lindholm, where he's a guy that is, 7 years, $7.75 million. He's not going to be here for a rebuild. 30 years old. That's not how it works. But this is absurd. Yeah, no, it does depend on the return for Marchand. That is what's going to be that's what's going to be a big part of this, is what's happening next. What's in the return for these trades. Okay. So where are we to now? Guys, I'm lost. Like, I don't know what to say. I appreciate all of you guys being here and just watching me look at Twitter, because I feel like that's what I'm doing. But looking at all of these trades, trying to figure out what's going on, this is crazy. The Boston, okay, time out. We have an update on the Brandon Okay. Oh my goodness, we have a Brandon Carlo update. This is big. Wow. Okay. I did not expect this to be part of the Brandon Carlo deal. Fraser Minton is part of that deal. Now, Fraser Minton is someone I'm sure we're all very familiar with, a very young player on the Boston Bruins. Played with at the University of Minnesota, I believe. Interesting trade aspect. He's part of it. Is not the full deal, but this is I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very happy with this. Fraser Minton was part of what people were saying would be an Rantanen trade return. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is good. This is good. Fraser Minten, part of the return. This is very, very good. 224 concurrent viewers. I appreciate all of you guys being in here for what right now is the 2 hour and 5 minute mark that I've been streaming this deadline. Okay, we got part of it. We got part of this deal right here. Fraser Minten is part of this return. Part. The big question. Thomas Fraser Minten is a young forward, great prospect for the Maple Leafs who had played at University of Minnesota. Came over last year, was his first real season in the NHL. He's good. He's very, very good. And as I mentioned, part of the Rantanen trade is what was going to be Fraser Minten if he did end up going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So this future is looking good. Like, I do like this. I will pull up his stats for us here this season. You know, still very young on the Maple Leafs team. This year has been, you know, okay. He's not a guy that's playing, you know, first line every game minutes. So when we pull up Fraser Minten's stats here, there we go. That should be good. I'll make it a bit bigger so you can see. I'm liking this. What are thoughts here for Fraser Minten? I'm happy with this. I'll move over here too so you can see me. Move the mic over too. This is good. 26 games in the AHL this year, 13 points, 15 games in 4 games, you know, or 15 points, 15 games played, 4 points. I do apologize. This is something that I really am excited for. And who just said that there? Noah, if Connor Timmins is part of it as well, I do like this. Like, what we've seen in the WHL, he was good. Seen him in the World Juniors. Wasn't as great, but certainly not bad. But this is a great piece of the future, a great developmental piece, a second-round pick from the 2022 draft. 20 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 20 years old. Set it on Nesson. Let me have a look and see. Oh, okay. Bigger update here. Bigger update. Let me close all of these screenshots out. Let me just give me a minute. Okay. We are also getting a first round pick. Things are heating up. From James Myrtle here. The Leafs are giving up a first prospect, and there are multiple trades involved here. Complicated deals going on. So if we get a first, Fraser Minten for Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo's not worth this. You know, let's not tell anybody. Let's not tell anybody that. But this is crazy. Fraser Minten's a big fella, too. 6'2", 195. Guy loves to lay the body. We've seen that in his short tenure this season with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but wow. No, it would make sense, but the thing I'm looking at here is complicated deals going on. I'm just wondering if Connor Timmins may be going elsewhere in this trade. Because he may be involved in the deal, but if it's a three or four-way trade, he may be going somewhere else to be able to relieve some cap. I don't know yet, but when you're looking at Brandon Carlo's contract as well, the Leafs are going to have to make multiple moves if they want to be able to comfortably fit this in and make all extra moves as well when calling up and sending down people. So we're looking at this here. Brad Marchand's trade has not yet been announced, but this is crazy. Is it on their Twitter, Noah? I can't find it. I don't know where it's to. It just says Fraser Minton's part of the deal. It don't say anything else for me. And this okay, so looking at this now, if we do have another deal, there could be more coming from the Leafs or another team to this deal. So I think the way the trade, if this is only the only deals we're looking at here, after this one's announced, the Brandon Carlo one, we should get the information on the Marchand one. Nesson says we're getting Connor Timmins. Okay. So, okay. So Connor Timmins looks like he's to be a part of this deal. I can't get Nesson here in Canada, which sucks. But Connor Timmins, Fraser Minton the first, if it's that, and if they are all going to the Bruins without any other moves, this is good. Okay. Let me see if I can find it on Nesson. Okay. Is it on, Marchand has been traded. We don't know yet. His deal is still, it's still in the trade call, so it's not official yet, but it is currently still being made by the NHL. So we're going to figure it out now here after this Carlo deal, I believe, because this one is the one on the call. But we don't know yet. Because all I can get on the Nesson website. Okay, so I'm going to call it Connor Timmins for now. Okay, no, okay. So this is what I thought. Connor Timmins is going to the Penguins. He's involved in the deal, but he is not going to the Bruins. This was a move to be made by the Leafs to clear up some cap space. So we have a big deal coming up here. We have a big deal coming here. What do we think about this so far? No, they're right. He is in the deal, but if it's a three-way deal, it still don't mean he's going to the Bruins. So he is involved in the deal, but it's just not to the Bruins. Now, if Nesson did say he was going to the Bruins, yeah, that's wrong. But okay. So Connor Timmins, if we get a first, because if the Leafs are giving up a first, does not necessarily mean it's to the Bruins. But if it is, that'd work out fine. Okay, still getting notifications, but it is going to take a long time to rebuild, but I think how this young core has now been developing over the past 2 days, I think that they could also use some of these assets to be able to flip at a later date. Now, I'm not going to say anything is happening this offseason or whatnot, but a lot of these young players may have some contracts that need to be signed within the same amount of years. And if they actually develop into some of what these are supposed to be, they may have some big contracts. But, this is absurd. Ugh. Maybe have to get another coffee. This is also freezing cold, by the way. I had this before the stream started, but I cannot leave right now. If it's a first and Fraser Minten for Brandon Carlo, it's a steal. And Connor Dewar is also headed to Pittsburgh from the Leafs. So it's Pittsburgh is heading Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar. And Fraser Minten's going to the Bruins. A first may be going to the Bruins. If we get we may get someone from Pittsburgh. What is Don Sweeney doing? I am genuinely curious. I need to see. I need to see what's going on. Okay. Did we get anything else? I think I've probably refreshed X about 600 times in the past 45 minutes, I guess we could say. It's been 45 minutes since the deadline, and we're not even sure what Brad Marchand is getting. Okay. This does set up the Bruins for quite a bit of cap space in the offseason as well. That's a very good point. Who said that? Lost Boy. May not be Marner, but it certainly is an interesting one. We are still waiting, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a broken record at this point, but we're waiting to see. Okay. So it's Minten and a draft pick going to Boston. David Pastrnak has officially tweeted this out. We are now looking at what else is a part of this deal. If the Bruins are giving up anything else, because now that Pittsburgh are involved, Pittsburgh may be giving us something. Okay, Frank Cervalius gave an updated one. Let me see if this has anything else involved in it. Okay, so here's what... Still piecing together the deal, but so far, Brandon Carlo is heading to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Boston Bruins are getting a first-round pick from Toronto, not sure the year, and Fraser Minten. And the Penguins are getting Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar. Now, here's where things get interesting. Frank Cervalli has said that there is likely going to be some retention involved. Now, if this is the Penguins perhaps taking some of Carlo's deal, Carlo is going to be the only one that really has any retention here in my mind. So if we're looking at this deal with a bit of retention, you may see Pittsburgh get an extra pick from the Bruins to retain the salary for Carlo. Now, I'm not sure. That's just what I'm kind of looking at, what I'm thinking of, and what I'm kind of seeing here right now. But if this is the way things are playing out, if this is how this trade is looking, this is okay. And Julian, my best guess would be either McAvoy or Pastrnak. It's one of the two. Henry Okiaru, was that deal official as well? I'm still waiting on that one to see. This. Okay, so yeah. Things seem to be getting pieced together now. So we can look at this as what is likely going to be the deal, at least for the most part. There's going to be probably a few other additions, probably a few other pieces, but right now, this is what we're looking at as a framework of it. Yokiaru deal is on TSN. Okay, so it must have gone through them. Okay, good. Very good. So Henry Okiario, I feel like he's not going to be worth too much. I mean, he's a solid defenseman, but he's nothing to kind of go crazy over. But when you have the Bruins defense right now, it was really bound to happen. Bruin, I feel like that's the exact same thing that I'm thinking. I feel like McAvoy probably should have it over Pastrnak, but Pastrnak, I think, is going to get it. Okay, so Brandon Carlo, for those watching in Canada, for those watching on TSN, Brandon Carlo is currently on TSN discussing, so that deal may be it. Or this might be the final deal with retention here. Okay, just give me one moment here, ladies and gentlemen. Got to do something real quick. Still no deal. I am on my phone currently, but I will get notifications if something pops up. I have notifications on for everybody for this, but this deal right here is what is happening, is what is running with right now. This is it. Brandon Carlos says, definitely a shocker when I heard that it was Toronto. What an opportunity for me it is to go out there and try and help this group win. Of course, Brandon Carlo would not say anything else. He wouldn't say, yeah, why am I going here? But he kind of did imply that. However, looking at this trade overall, a first and Fraser Minton for Brandon Carlo, it's not a bad deal. He ain't worth that, but yeah, Marchand to Florida. That's still what we're really waiting for, I think. But this is still a pretty big one. This kind of took me by surprise here. And Alistair, that's what I'm thinking. If Don Sweeney's pulling these strings, if he's getting a first and Fraser Minton for Brandon Carlo, now Fraser Minton is good, still needs to develop, but has a lot of potential as a big physical guy, a guy that I can certainly see in a Bruins uniform. Gotta give him credit where credit is due. But right now, yeah. I mean, okay. There's 4 retweets of Brandon Carlo's quote. I mean, oh my goodness, my computer might explode, ladies and gentlemen. I think so. I might too. I genuinely might too. Yeah. So okay, this seems to be the framework. We're not getting any more announcements just of this trade in specific before the Brad Marchand one. So when we're looking at this trade, I dig it. I think that the Bruins certainly win this trade. I mean, Getting rid of Carlo was something that was bound to happen anyways. We kind of expected that. That was one player that I've mentioned quite a bit to be gone. But now we got this. People are saying getting Fraser Minten over Easton Cowan is a choice. Yes, but I think you would have to give up more to be able to get Easton Cowan. I feel like the Leafs value him more. He's an all-right player, but I feel like these are pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see, we got anything else? You know, I can understand where you're coming from, Danny, but I feel like a first for Brandon Carlo regardless is an okay trade, you know? Especially the way he's been playing this year, we got to think about it. His value definitely dropped. No fault of his own, because when you're going from playing with Hampus Lindholm, a very solid defenseman every night, to playing with a different person every game, his value definitely dropped because he wasn't playing great, but a first, I can't really complain. I really can't right now. Don Sweeney's post-deadline press conference was pushed back to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So, lets us know that things are not done yet. Not done yet. Still waiting for this, you know, the trade that really matters. The Brad Marchand one. Then I'll be popping off the stream, doing these videos. Be sure to stick around, hit the sub button. Pluto, we don't know just yet. We're waiting on that. The Bruins are still in the trade call list with the NHL. And where it is after the deadline, they have to go in and have to stay in there before the deal's announced, or it won't go through. So right now, we don't know just yet. I mean, Rick, you might be right. Like, it's going to be quite a while until we actually see what's happening in this. The Pens are giving up a late round draft pick to take Connor Timmins and Connor Dwyer from the Maple Leafs. Okay. But what's the deal for Brad Marchand? Please, I would like to know. I'm getting hungry. I've been here for nearly 3 hours, and this is still just... It's got... it has to be a player for Danny, because when we're looking at not just the cap space, but the picks that they don't have very many draft picks. They have 1 first in 2027. That's all over the next 3 years, and they have 1 second as well. So we don't really know just yet what it could be, but options are limited. Their cap space right now, they have currently 4.1. So they don't have to give up too much, but still. Daniel Sprong to New Jersey. Why are trades still coming out? It's an hour past the deadline. Oh, Rick, I'm telling you. This trade better be worth it. If we get scammed, oh boy, we're going to be in trouble. Verhaeghe coming to Boston. That's one that I wouldn't mind. Certainly a very good player. Extension coming after this year at $7 million, which is a pretty good price for him. A 3-year. 29 years old is one thing that I don't know if the Bruins are fully going to be looking for. You know what I mean? I feel like with a Marchand trade, they're going to be looking for someone younger. I feel like Anton Lundell, which a lot of you guys are saying, and which one that I want, a 23-year-old, perfect contract to $5 million in a 6-year deal. 40 points in 62 games this season. To me, it really makes sense. Now, will the Panthers be willing to give up that? I don't know. I sure hope it is. And Lundell in a second, that would be even better. That would be perfect, actually. So let's just hope it's something along the lines of that. Because even when you're looking at like the Panthers lineup, I'm going to do it again here now. Let me go back to that browser and see. Yeah, like there's really no other player that I would really go for and reach at, if you know what I mean. Like, their team is not the youngest. You know, I think that Verhaeghe, Lundell, Luosterainen maybe, I feel like those three are likely to be at least somewhat involved in this deal. But, you know, when you're looking at contract-wise, they don't have to give up a whole lot to be able to get Marchand. $2 million about. So we still have to see in that. But once again, while we're still waiting for all this up, I do appreciate all of you guys being here during this stream. You know, three hours going on, and it probably will actually hit the 3-hour mark when it does get to the Marchand trade, when we get any information. I see a lot of you guys have been here the entire time, so I do appreciate choosing, me as one of your people to watch, along with either, Nesson, NHL Network, ESPN, TSN, Sportsnet. It does mean a lot, because this is the longest stream I've done by quite some time, but yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Aaron Ekblad, that's an interesting one as well. I feel like Aaron Ekblad is a player that, is a tough one to justify due to him being a free agent. Now, that doesn't mean that a sign and trade couldn't happen, but it could be an option if a deal is done. 29 years old, though, once again. And especially for a defenseman who, in Aaron Ekblad, who, is not, I would say, the healthiest of all times, it would be interesting. And the thing is, with the Panthers, too, I just realized this. Their NHL team only has 2 right-handed defensemen. In Aaron Ekblad and Seth Jones. Seth Jones, whom they just acquired. Aaron Ekblad would be very tough to justify giving him up, because then you only have them. And I don't know in the AHL, who do they have on defense? No, nobody that has been, regularly in the NHL. But it's interesting. All right. So as we do still await the move for Brad Marchand, we're still getting more deals coming in from other teams that have been here. Imagine we trade Brad Marchand for Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, and Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight is already in Chicago, but other than that, Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, whew. Yeah, Florida's not the youngest team. That's a good point. That's a good thing to point out. Like, when we're looking at how this team is built, how this team is structured, they are all the same age. Now, that window that they have open is, not a horrible timeline. It's a couple of years, but when they hit that couple-year mark, they are going to be in a tough situation. I'm hoping that's what it is, Iceman. It is that first and a Lundell type player. I'd be even okay or content with a second and Lundell. I think Lundell needs to be a part of this, if I'm going to be honest with you. We're getting full trade notifications from a trade that happened 3 hours ago. What's going on? If this trade came in after the time, I'm going to lose my mind. And a nice Friday evening as well. It's definitely a way to start the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And something certainly certainly something that we're going to have to look at over the next few weeks. Not just days, but weeks with all of this coming out. We're going to have quotes from all these guys and everything too, so I'll have that in the videos when they do come out, but right now we're still waiting. We are still waiting for the trade for Brad Marchand. And when that does come out, as I said, I'll be popping off the stream and heading over to get some videos. I will be eating first, so you guys can go eat as well, and then pop back over to the channel, and we'll have another one. But do we call? Okay, I want to know what you guys think here now. I want to know what you guys think. Do we call this trade deadline a win for the Boston Bruins? Now, it definitely does seem like a yes, like an immediate yes answer, but this is a rebuild. This is not a retool or a rejig or, whatever Cam Neely wanted to call it 2 months ago. This is a full-blown rebuild. Ooh. You're right, Teddy. I just saw that. Now, hold that thought. Hold that thought, because we now have another announcement. If what we're looking at for Brad Marchand is a second and a conditional first, this is not great. This is not great at all if this is what it is. No, I agree with that, Peter. That completely makes sense. It's like the draft record is not great, which is why this kind of comes into play, comes into a bit of a concern here, what we're looking at right now. So, on the screen, I'm hearing the Bruins got a first and Fraser Minton for Brandon Carlo, which is true, but a second, which is a conditional first for Brad Marchand. Now, if it's just a second-round pick for Brad Marchand, you cannot. That's a horrible deal. If this is what we're looking, if this is the deal for Brad Marchand, that can't be it. I need to see it from an Elliott Freeman, a Chris Johnson, a Kevin Weeks, somebody, before I judge this. But if this is it, what a horrible deal for Brad Marchand. Now, yes, he's hurt. He's 36 years old. He's on an expiring deal. He may retire, but a second-round pick, you're worth keeping him, then and re-signing him, and then trade him next year if need be. It's not like you were stuck to one thing. It's not like you were stuck to one trade for Brad Marchand. They had options. Teams were interested. Teams were calling. This is a slap in the face for Brad Marchand with that value. A guy who's come out and said that he wanted to stay with the Boston Bruins his entire career. Would have been happy to stay there. Would have signed an extension with the Boston Bruins. If you were to trade him, you would have had the value in a first-round pick. Yes, as I mentioned. If it were to be no injury, 36 years old, 37 when his contract expires, the uncertainty of his future. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Now, we were kind of going back to that last question. Now, Michael Sullivan's tweeting out a second and a conditional first, but from what I'm getting here from this this tweet here, a second, which is a conditional first, is what I'm thinking this means. Like a second round pick, but it could become a first. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, Black Lodge, what you said there is exactly what in my mind I'm thinking of right now. Looking at this trade, why would you trade him? He's your captain. You're trading for a second round pick that could become a first. You know, it has to be a 20. Like, let me head back to the Panthers picks here. So, if this is a conditional second round pick, this would be a 2026 second round pick that would become a 2027 first. If that's the deal, if that's what this is, if this is what the conditions are, not good. Yeah, this is a tough look for Don Sweeney here. This goes to become one of these things where, yes, it's an idea to trade Marchand. You make some great trades before this, but this takes you down quite a few notches in my mind with what's going on. Yeah, you guys are saying it right here. Okay, so Justin, if that's what it is, similar to what I thought it was going to be, but just different years. Okay, but you know, it's so easy to not make that trade, to not make Brad Marchand go for a second. And if it is another first, that's a bit better. But with the conditional first, if that becomes a second, 2 seconds, no, not enough. But if this does, Charles, this appears to be the whole trade. Yeah. If this is the whole trade, there's not much more I can say about it, to be honest with you. I'm still waiting for as soon as I see that. As soon as I see that tweet from one of the guys, one of the regular analysts, that's when I'll see it, and that's when I believe it. But I can't right now. That's a good question, Roman. I don't know how the Panthers afford that. I don't know. They currently have 4.1 in cap space, so they would have needed to clear $2 million. So maybe there's a player thrown in there. Maybe, I don't know. If I'm looking at the contract, someone around $2 million. Nico Mikkola, Nico Sturm, Luosterainen. Those are the three that are really around that price range. But someone has to be moved. Someone has to go. So I don't know. Unless there's retention, if the Bruins retain, It's oh yep. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the trade from Florida. If this is confirmed, this is legit. If this is, of course, this is a reliable source. If this is the whole deal, this is it. A second in 2027 that turns into a first in 2028 if conditions are met. What are we thinking? What is this? You go have a great trade deadline, an amazing trade deadline. You go out here, you go get your future for this team. You go build a core future, bunch of young talent, steals of trades, great draft picks, and then you go trade the one guy that you did not need to trade in Brad Marchand for a conditional second-round pick. Keep him. Let him retire here. You have enough cap space. You have infinite cap space now. You got rid of everybody that has a salary on this team. And you go and trade him for a conditional second-round pick. What we've been seeing, Will, is that what we were hearing is that Marchand would only get a trade done if he accepted, if he said yes. So it would completely make sense if Brad Marchand picked the Panthers. You know, it seems like in the Four Nations face-off, he had made up with Sam Bennett. All that kind of stuff was fine. You know what I mean? Like, all of that. But this was a deal that just didn't need to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this seems to be, you know, we're getting from a bunch of different sources, still none of the big ones, but it does seem like this is the trade. So, you know, there's not much more I can say here, really. I guess we'll have to put it in the video. You know, be sure to stick around, watch the video in a bit. We'll be making quite a few videos later today. I mean, I'm going to be very busy with all of this, so we'll have some more reactions on that. But I do appreciate all of you guys being here for this trade deadline stream. It was a very long one, but it does seem like this is, you know, the end of the deadline. This is the end of an era for the Boston Bruins. I am on Newfoundland time, Drew. So I'm in the middle of the ocean, pretty much. Got our own time zone. But this does seem to be the end of an era for the Boston Bruins, with Marchand going for a second, Brian and Carlo gone, Charlie Coyle gone, Justin Brazeau gone. You know, a lot of players gone from this Boston Bruins team that were legends here, I guess we could say. You know, not even I guess we could say that were legends here, and are legends here. Still will be legends here, but. You know, that's all I got in the stream. So I do appreciate all of you guys for popping by, even if you're only here for 5 minutes. It means a lot to me, especially for 3 hours, you know, on this deadline day that we didn't really know what was going to go down, you know, and we got quite a quite a deadline, I guess we could say. But like I said, I appreciate you guys being here, and yeah, so be sure to stick around for the vids. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming. I want your reaction to the comments of these videos, but like I said, I do appreciate all of you guys being here. Be sure to stick around. Hit the sub button if you haven't already on the stream. put the videos. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming still after this deadline. A lot of reactions coming, a lot of player reactions coming, and you won't want to miss it. But thank you all so very much for being here for this just under 3 hours. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the next stream, but also in a few videos coming here in a couple hours. So be sure to stick around for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.